What is up, everybody? Purple and Gold podcast for Tuesday, April 21st. LSU and UNO tonight, 6:30 at Alex Box Stadium, and the hits just keep on coming. Yesterday evening, Jay Johnson announced on his coach's show that starting pitcher Cooper Moore would have surgery and he will not be back for the 2026 season. However, it is his plan to return in 2027, which would theoretically give LSU all three of their weekend starters back on the pitching staff in 2027. I say theoretically because no one knows with the transfer portal and with the expected roster turnover. But you would expect Case and Evans, William Schmidt, and now Cooper Moore to all be back. And then this morning, we all got the news that I think some of us had been dreading since yesterday when the rumors started swirling. Jake Brown is going to have hamate bone surgery in his hand, and he is going to be out for the season. And because he is a draft-eligible junior and expected to be a relatively high draft pick, his LSU career is now over. Jake Brown leaves as a 3-year player, one of the best players on this team, certainly, and a big piece to LSU's 2025 national championship winning team. He's a Louisiana guy, committed to LSU as both a pitcher and a hitter, never pitched at LSU though. Jay Johnson and the staff had a path for him on offense, and I think we'll remember the big hit he had against Arkansas, left on left in the World Series. We'll also remember, unfortunately, maybe the big misplay that he had in right field in that Chapel Hill Regional Championship game. But all in all, a great career, and certainly a tough way for it to end for Jake Brown, and a tough way for it to end for LSU, being that they're reeling losers of 6 straight in the SEC and, fighting for their NCAA tournament lives. And now you take his 16 homers and his, big thump out of the lineup. So what does LSU do in right field? Well, I would not be surprised if you don't see William Patrick get a shot. William Patrick is a freshman. William Patrick is very fast. He's a guy that Jay Johnson had talked about the last couple of weeks. They were actually working him some at second base in an effort to try to maybe get him into some games. He didn't play baseball exclusively in high school. He was a high school quarterback. The thought was that once he committed to playing full-time baseball, LSU could develop him into something. So I think they will want to get a look at him. Obviously, Daniel Harden, who we saw some in the early part of the season when Chris Stanfield was out, is another guy they could take a look at. I also suppose, in theory, they could play Mason Braun in left field and move Chris Stanfield or Derek Curiel possibly to right field if they wanted to have Yaman and Cerna and Aaron Beatty handle first base, catcher, and DH. That would not be the expected play, I don't think. I think tonight you'll see William Patrick get a start in right field. I think Aaron Beatty and Cerna will DH and catch tonight, and I think Mason Braun will be in there at first base. As far as who the LSU is going to pitch tonight, it'll be the usual midweek cast of characters: Reagan Ricken, Jaden Newt, Marcos Paz, and others. I think LSU will use a variety of pitchers, Connor Benj, just to try to get through this game and have everybody lined up for the weekend. I don't think you'll see Devin Sharon. I don't think you'll see Gavin Guidry. They would probably like to stay away from Santiago Garcia if they could, but they could theoretically use him tonight as well. I wanted to mention, I was remiss yesterday in the podcast not mentioning the LSU gymnastics team. They finished national runners-up to Oklahoma by just a shade in that final rotation, and Kalen Chio on the beam just couldn't quite get the score that LSU needed. The LSU gymnastics team is an unbelievable team. Little girls and fans, and they have a passionate fan base, and they do big things at the PMAC, and they sell out the PMAC, and they've got Jay Clark's really got it rolling, and they're not going to go anywhere, and they'll have a lot of people back, and I'm sure they'll bring in some new gymnasts via high school recruiting in the transfer portal, and they'll be back again. But I was remiss yesterday in not mentioning that. Just a really, really tough loss for LSU, but nothing to be ashamed of. National runners-up. Will Wade has his first commitment out of the transfer portal. Mo Diabate from Kentucky played his first 2 years at Alabama. He's a 3-year player in the SEC. He's averaged double digits. He's played between 20 and 30 minutes a game, both at Alabama and at Kentucky. He did start 10 games last year for Kentucky. He's a high-energy guy. He's a 6'7" wing / forward. He's a defensive guy too. He's a high energy stopper type guy, and it's a good first piece for Will Wade. Certainly, we await many more dominoes to fall there. With 15 scholarships, you would expect LSU would have 12, 13, maybe 14 or 15 guys on scholarship. Still waiting on a few more names to pop, but we'll keep everybody posted on that. And LSU football got a commit yesterday. Braylon Calais. He's an athlete, but LSU will use him as a receiver. He's the number 5 athlete in the country. He's the number 6 player in Louisiana from Cecilia. He is a 4-star prospect, and I expect his ranking will stabilize, if not go up. He is LSU's fourth high school commitment, and he will sign with LSU in December. And this recruiting class on the high school front is potentially going to be a who's who. LSU only has 4 commitments, and they're number 10 in the nation in the recruiting rankings. And LSU's recruiting the number 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 13, 15, 16th ranked players, and they have a real shot at a good number of those guys. This is going to be a heavy, big-time recruiting class in the high school ranks for LSU football. Really, Lane Kiffin's first, obviously, full-time high school recruiting class. If you remember, he was hired and on the job just days before the early signing period last year. Literally, I believe he was introduced 2 days before the early signing period. He did flip a couple of guys, but his major role in that was just keeping the class that had been built together. So this will be the first class for him and Billy Glasscock to mold it in the way that they want to. As far as the baseball game tonight, look, UNO's not a good team, y'all. LSU's not a good team either, but UNO's RPI is very low. LSU could ill afford to lose this game. I don't know where LSU is mentally right now. I don't know where LSU is emotionally right now. I thought Jay's pointed press conference after Friday night's game really had some past tense to it on this season. And I know they're all working hard, and I know they're not giving up, and I know they're going to try to win every game. And I don't think his comments on Friday night had any bearing on the Saturday and Sunday games. That's not what I mean. I just think we all recognize where this is right now. And certainly LSU should win this game tonight, and hopefully they can. And you just go to Mississippi State on Friday with a fresh opportunity. But, I think at this point, the Jake Brown news, coupled with not getting Cooper Moore back, is probably just that one last sort of gut punch for a team that was sort of on the ropes already. And if the season was a fight, I think the referee would have come in and stopped it this morning with the Jake Brown news. But we soldier on because that's what we do. We fight like tigers. And LSU will go out there tonight and try to win a baseball game. And look, there is some advantage to possibly developing players in this environment the last month of the season in SEC games and road games and midweek games and starts, whether that be William Patrick, whether they go back to Jack Ruckert or Ethan Kloss at second base or third base, whether that be the continued development of Omar Cerna, the continued development of Mason Braun, whatever the opportunity is, you have to take that opportunity and get these guys some at-bats and get these guys a look, both so you can know what you have in them and also so they can further develop in a competitive environment. And you just hope it doesn't have a negative effect. It hasn't had one on Cerna, and it hasn't had one on Braun, certainly. So let's see if guys like William Patrick or Daniel Harden or Ethan Kloss or Jack Ruckert or whomever it is, even if it's just folks like John Pearson and Cade Aaron Beatty, players who you will expect will be back next year, can continue to fight and continue to stay on the right path. And we'll be right here to document it all and talk about it on the Purple and Gold podcast. As always, please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you would tell your friends to subscribe, it would really help the YouTube channel out a lot. As always, be good to one another, always boot up, and always, 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 go Tigers.